Coming to you from somewhere near the County Trunk O Road in Washera County, it's the B.Andrews Radio Show. And we want to welcome you to this great edition of the show. Before we even get started, yes, I know this will be a great edition of the show. This episode is going to be so fine. It is going to be so good. It is going to be so over the top that you will go, man, mark that show. I want to go back and listen to it again.
Or cringe.
Or cringe and say, I can't believe I wasted that much time listening to that show in the first time. Anyway, here from the mighty village of Hancock, we are broadcasting today. I am one of your hosts. I am Eric of the B.Andrews Band. Across the room is another one of the hosts of the show that makes the conversation complete because she don't tweet. Say hi to Emily.
I am Emily.
Hi. I loved it. That was good. When did you become alive? I mean, that was you woke me up. Wow.
Well, you didn't see as I nearly lifted myself out of my chair saying that sentence.
Yes, she did.
I was making fun of you because you're like, I am this and I am that.
Well,
am?
Careful there, careful. Lightning will come down.
Like
for those of you
has struck my brain.
For those of you that understand biblical terms, you'll know what that comes from, and
I'll take one step.
And
back.
Eric does not wish to say that. Notice I didn't say I. Anyway, and coming to you from behind the other microphone that is beside the computer, doing the editing jobs. Why are we eliting?
I don't know. Why do you suddenly believe in a hierarchical society?
I don't know. Editing for us, producing and commenting at the same time. That sounded good.
That just made it sound like she's sitting on the toilet talking.
Emily!
She's producing and commenting at the same time.
Stop. Just don't go on with that thought. Anyway, we want to say hi to the production staff, all rolled into one. That would be Kay. Say hi, Kay.
You are part of the staff. You're like a fancy burrito.
Okay, my question is...
Or a loaded sushi roll.
Okay, my question is, shouldn't I be in front of the microphone? Because if I was behind it, I wouldn't be able to comment.
You are... There is a microphone by your mouth. Let's say it that way.
It's not omnidirectional, so...
No,
it's
yes,
not.
No, it is an omnidirectional microphone. That is correct.
So you mean I could walk up and we could stand face to face and talk into the same mic?
Possibly.
The answer to that is yes, because it has a superchordioid pattern and it can pick up from both sides of the microphone.
Ooh, Dad got fancy.
Ha!
Fancy.
Yes, I learned my technical terms, and thank you, John, for forcing them down my throat. He's not here, so we can blame him.
Feast on knowledge.
Oh, yes.
Isn't that what you do when I ask... Okay, isn't this
you want to
what
start over?
Computing.
Cannot compute. No, isn't that what you do when I ask your help in math and then I end up having a 3-hour lecture on one simple thing?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
No,
I've gotten the same ones.
That's all.
Yeah.
That's
see?
all autopilot. Absolutely.
Every single other person in the family who's gotten one of those, because you've helped them with schooling, will most likely agree. And it's true, because the person across from me agrees. Isn't that right?
What?
Okay, just leave me hanging.
Yes, no, I do not think about those diatribes. They are automatic pilot kind of things. So, careful.
Hey, I'm Native American.
You're more Cherokee than that Elizabeth person.
I am.
No politics zone. We do not mention politicians.
I was not mentioning politics. I was mentioning genealogy.
I wasn't
and
talking to you.
And a person's stupidity.
Man, you can't argue with that. But this is a no politics zone. That is a rule here. We don't do politics. We don't talk politicians.
And we don't politic or tick or paw.
No, or all of that stuff put together. So anyway,
but I'm pretty sure we don't tickle Paul either.
Welcome.
Maybe we should name the
I
frog
do not know
Paul.
a Paul, and we are not Well, I do know a Paul. No, we're not tickling him. He's a former Marine. We don't no touchy. No touchy.
Well, there's a Paul. We know 2 Pauls, actually.
I am appalled.
Oh, you're a Paul? We know 2 Pauls?
We know 2 Pauls.
Who's the other Paul?
Down under.
He's Australian?
We have never been down under.
No.
I meant Nepal.
We haven't been there either.
That's what you tell. That's when you're, like, Paul, you can't do that. No, Paul.
It's down in Kentucky.
There's a Paul down there?
Oh, yeah. Paul and Patty.
Paul and Patty? Patty and Paul?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is the bald dude that does the singing.
Riggs.
He's
Yeah.
not. He's not.
Oh,
He's
well,
not-
then right
he's not
there,
bald.
we just did a shout out.
Hey, shout out to you.
Paul Riggs.
Paul.
Hopefully you listen to this show.
Probably not.
Probably
If you
not.
don't, you should.
Now, well, I just put Patty on the list as for getting it announcements and so forth.
Yeah, okay.
So
I don't
give
know what I was
her a
gonna-
shout out.
Shout out to Paul's wife, Patty, Miss Patty.
Paul and Patty.
Paul and Patty, Patty and Paul.
I don't think Paul's bald though.
Well, he's mostly.
Okay, I can't argue with that. But I'm pretty sure he still has
remember,
hair.
but I choose
Sorry,
not to
Paul.
talk about it in
He's
case.
got a marvelous mustache, though.
I thought
If
he had a
remember
goatee.
right. Okay, now or no, you're thinking of Ray.
No.
I need to pull up a picture of Paul now.
Yeah.
We should do that in between.
Okay,
shows,
we
though.
should. Moving right along.
Sorry, Paul.
So let's get in a little bit of today's show, which is being spawned by the weather. The weather's going really bad outside. We're supposed to be getting inches and inches of snow, depending on who you're talking to. One particular weatherman is saying that we're supposed to be getting 2 to 4 inches in our area. Another weatherman is saying that we can get up to a foot of snow. And the thing of it is it's going to be over a 24-hour period. So it's supposed to have already started this morning, but I look outside and nothing is happening.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's not snowing. It was barely snowing just earlier today anyway, and it was more or less water than snow.
Yeah, that's the other weird thing about this. So we can take a minute here and talk about the weathermen, but our temperatures were supposed to remain well below freezing. They were supposed to be 20 degrees and below, so at that point, all you get is really snow. I rhymed. I didn't mean to, but I rhymed. That was really good. I got to remember. I got to write that down. Anyway, so, but what ended up happening is that it warmed up enough that we actually got a drizzle and freezing rain started coming down. The schools are really spooked by freezing rain because of the amount of busing that is done around here. And so all the schools, once the freezing rain started coming down and there was, there's a good 1/4 of an inch of film because the drive down here to the studio from our house, yes, we should have walked, but we drove because we had things to deliver to Emily.
What?
Yeah. Anyway, and there was a good 1/4 of an inch of ice that had built up on the car windshield.
Okay, if you were lazy enough to go grab the car to bring my things down to me,
Oh, yes, I
and
grabbed
I don't
it.
drive and don't have a car.
I laid a hold of the car.
Actually, I had to convince him.
I
to
was going to
take the
walk.
car.
I was going to walk.
Point is you expected me to carry all those things to my house?
No, actually, I didn't. So, anyway, that's and So, what do you guys think about weathermen who can't get it right? I mean, if you think about it,
Get a new profession
there is a job, and
and
I
throw away the
understand.
toupee.
I understand. What's the toupee got to do with it?
Everybody needs money.
I understand the weather is a bit unpredictable and that kind of thing, but being a weatherman is the only job where you can be wrong most of the time and keep your job.
Okay, first of all, no. Rich people don't need more money. They can have the money they have.
They'll eventually run out.
Who's rich?
I'm not supposed to say his name. Excuse you.
What? I am
Okay,
lost.
First of all, the joke was what's the toupee have to do with anything? And I said, hey, he's got to make money somehow.
I am still lost.
You didn't even say that. You said everybody needs money.
Everybody needs money. Eventually
Except
he'll run
rich
out.
people. They don't need any more money.
Okay, this is
Okay,
really
this is
bogging
really-
down.
yeah.
We're
You're
losing
not
it.
getting me.
I'm not feeling what you're. I'm not.
Don't finish that sentence.
I'm not picking up what you're putting down. So anyway,
The joke was he spent money on himself to look good.
okay.
Toupees don't look good.
I didn't say
Couldn't
they
be
did.
phonier if it had a chin strap. Anyway,
Still would look better than a comb over.
all right.
Men shouldn't have parts on the sides of their head.
I heard a guy say one time, and I am totally going with this. If I ever go bald, I'm not going to grow long on one side and comb it over. I'm going to grow my eyebrows long and comb them up. And
Really?
Your eyebrows are too wiry for that.
yeah, I definitely.
Then
need-
all of your hair will just look unruly.
Yeah.
Is that how Einstein got his haircut?
That's he just did his eyebrows and just went up with them.
You won't have a forehead at
Oh,
that
you-
rate.
I'd look like a Hambrock then, wouldn't I?
Gorilla. It's a silverback. You mean a silver head.
It's a Hambrock.
Silver forehead.
Just call him John. He'll respond. Anyway, it's a great uncle of mine. He was compared to a gorilla. Anyway,
You mean he is a gorilla?
he was. No kidding. I'm doing this thing on. I'm doing this thing on family ancestry on ancestors.com, and he came up in it. One of the things about John Hambrock, seriously, I'm 5'9", just kind of give you a little bit of perspective. I am equally proportioned, I think.
Most of us are.
Yeah,
Now that we have
at
a few
5'9",
other-
I have an inseam of 31 inches. My Uncle John, great Uncle John, was 5'11", maybe 6 foot, somewhere in there. And he had an inseam of 28 inches. So let that sink in, and you go, oh, my goodness, that guy was almost all torso.
Yep.
That's exactly.
He could walk on his hands and feet.
He looked really funny, and I am not kidding you. He also had extra long arms, and he could, and try this sometime, he could scratch his knee without bending over.
Cameron just pictured it.
No, I had myself standing up where mine only comes just past my hip and my butt, and that's not right.
Well,
That's just not right.
You do know that your knee's in front of your... Never mind.
I don't know what she was referencing, but I know it wasn't that.
Okay, so yeah, that's my Uncle John. But anyway, back to weathermen and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's a profession that it's an imprecise job, but you would think with all the technology that we would have, that we do have nowadays, that weathermen could do a way better job than what they do. This storm that don't have yet was supposed to come in on Monday night. So it didn't come in on Monday night. They backed it up, said it's going to be here Tuesday morning, and I'm not kidding you, all the snow emergencies have gone off, and they are set for 7 a.m. today until 7 a.m. tomorrow. We've gotten the drizzle. Wasn't supposed to warm up enough to be rain, but now we have drizzle outside, and we are forming ice, and the snow is really not supposed to come. Some of the heaviest snow is actually going to be through tomorrow afternoon. It just keeps backing up and backing up. It's not going to, I think, and yet earlier in the week they said we were going to have 2 snowstorms. One on Monday into Tuesday and the other one on Wednesday into Thursday. I think what they've just done is that they don't want to admit that they're wrong, and they're waiting for the next snowstorm to come in is what they're doing. Yes?
Nothing. I haven't done anything.
You gave me the signal.
You gave me woohoo.
Oh, that signal. So anyway, bad weather can happen here in Wisconsin. In fact, my mom does not like to come to Wisconsin between the months of October and May because she has a legitimate fear that the weather could go bad and that she would get snowed in. it is possible here in Wisconsin. Now, we are not the worst state for weather. I mean, come on, snow and cold. Go to Alaska. But there is some things that we can rival Alaska about as far as being cold and snowy. So
We actually did one summer get colder than Alaska in summer.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yep.
It was a little annoying.
It was a temperate summer, though, so it was comfortable.
It was
Yeah.
it was comfortable, but yes, Alaska was having a bigger heat wave than we were. So anyway, this is a time to go get a refill on what you're doing. We're going to take a break and get a refill, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the 12 worst winters in Wisconsin.
You're listening to the B.Andrews Radio Show.
If you'd like to connect with us, please visit us at our Facebook page, B.Andrews, just like a name, B.Andrews, B-E-A-N-D-R-E-W-S, B.Andrews.
This was brought to you by the HBC, the Hambone Broadcasting Corporation.
Welcome back to the second segment of the B.Andrews Radio Show. And before we get started on our 12 worst winters in the state of Wisconsin, we want to give a shout-out to our shout-outs. That was the Office of Redundancy again. We want to give our shout-outs for this segment. The first shout-out is to a location. We want to thank all of you that are listening over in Elyria, Ohio. And it's not Elyria, it's Elyria with an E, E-L-E-R-Y-I-A, no, E-L, never mind, I can't remember how to spell it. Anyway, it starts with an E, and it's in northern Ohio, about dead center of the state, still east of Sandusky. So if any of you know anything about the North Coast, Elyria, Ohio, about 40, 50 minutes from Cleveland, still west of Cleveland. So anyway, there you go. Shout out to them and to a very good friend of ours that attends the Almond Bancroft School District. We want to give a shout out to Julie. Julie, thank you for being one of our faithful listeners, and we appreciate you and just want to say hi to you from the B.Andrews Radio Show. Now, 12, count them, 12.
12.
Worst, 12. Emily, want to throw it in there? 12?
A dozen.
It had to be you. Anyway.
She chose it that way.
Yes, she did.
I gotta be me.
12 worst winters that have happened in Wisconsin. So we're going to talk about those right now, and Kay has our statistics. Are we going up or down? We're going to start with the worst to best, best to worst.
I'm not actually sure. Okay, we're starting with not so bad with pretty bad. So we're going to go 12-1.
Okay, now we have been, just to kind of set a precedence here, we have been in Wisconsin since 2001. So there's going to be a few of these that we have actually lived through. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
3 to be exact.
And to let our listeners know that we are in central Wisconsin. So every time that you hear the term central Wisconsin goes, we'll pull out what locations, because Wisconsin's pretty big.
Yeah,
if you
it's
want
not a small state.
No, it's not a small state. I mean, we're not in the top 10 largest states, I don't think, because when you go out west, when you start putting together North Dakota and South Dakota, Montana,
Colorado,
Texas,
California, Texas.
Alaska,
Yeah, Alaska's pretty big.
all those states I just rattled off are way bigger. Utah, New Mexico. They're bigger than we are, but we're definitely, we're bigger than Ohio, bigger than Indiana, bigger than Illinois. So as you start heading west, Wisconsin
Bigger than
is
Connecticut,
Maine.
Rhode Island,
Maryland.
Yeah, as you start heading west, Wisconsin is the first of the big Midwestern states. So
Actually,
You want to re-say that?
I'm here. Let me take a little supple of water and try to ease my dry mouth.
All right, so as he said multiple times, it's 12 of the worst Wisconsin winter storms ever.
All right,
Starting with number 12.
number 12. So we're going bottom up.
Yes.
Okay, bottom up. Number 12.
March 2011. This late season storm was the result of 2 pressure areas colliding over Wisconsin. The central part of the state, as as nailed? Okay, that's weird. Was nailed with 12 to 18 inches of snow plus ice and sleet. An Eau Claire broadcast tower was felled by the icy storm. And in Green Bay, they accumulated 17.8 inches of snow over the course of the storm, making it the biggest storm to hit there in more than 100 years. It was the first time Green Bay had seen accumulations of more than 10 inches 3 different times in the same season.
Yep. Remember that one? We dug out an awful lot here. The one thing that we didn't get during that year that everybody else did is we didn't get the ice, which is nice. I rhymed again. Yeah, the thing that complicates winter around here is if you end up getting ice with it, which is what is happening today. We're starting to get a film of ice before the snow falls. And for those of you that maybe don't have to deal with the snow and so forth, what the ice makes it very difficult on the equipment to move the snow. Ice gets very brittle. It also makes things a lot more heavy, or appropriate English, it makes things heavier. I'll use the right English there, right comparative. And so you go to take your snow plows out and things up, and you hit those ice chunks, and your metal will break. That's what makes snow removal. You know, if we just got the 10 inches of snow with no ice before it, it's like not a problem.
Yeah, but the wetness and everything, it makes everything stick.
It depends on where your temperatures are. If the temperatures are 25 and up, yes, that's a heavy, wet snow, and things just stick. If about 24 degrees and down, the snow gets a little lighter. The snows that happen...
But if it stays around long enough for it to drop down at night...
Oh, that stuff's hard.
Then the stuff gets as hard as a rock. If it was started off at wet, at like between 30 and 28 degrees, it starts off wet, and then it drops down to 10 degrees, 5 degrees, and then it's just turns into a block of ice is what it turns into. All right, number 11.
February 08.
Ah.
This storm will be remembered for the massive interstate backups that occurred. Snow accumulation was between 10 to 21 inches, but a jackknife semi-trailer on Highway 3990 in Dane County caused backups up and down the system for nearly a day. Reports say more than 1,000 semi-trucks and nearly 500 personal vehicles were stuck for anywhere from 10 to 20 hours, as folks were stuck in their vehicles overnight. Wind gusts up to 40 to 50 miles per hour did not help the situation. This storm helped Madison set their record snowfall for 101 inches for the 07 and 08 season.
Yeah, and you and I were talking about that before, and I'm like, man, I don't remember that. And the reason why is because Dane County is 3 counties south of us. It never affected us up here. We just got snow.
Yeah.
But the interstate was shut down, and so it was probably somebody heading northbound, which is the reason why we weren't affected up here. So that means the Dane County heading all the way down to Beloit, backs up Milwaukee. Oh, yeah. Well, we weren't on the road. I'm glad. That's cool.
Yeah, but it's really sad for the people who were. But
yeah. Dane County. If you're traveling this way, Dane County, Madison, which Madison sits in Dane County, does not have the truck stops and the things like that to be able to handle all the trucks. It's the state's capital, and so they keep truck stops and things like that at a distance from around the state capitol. They don't allow them to have them there, so they're either way south of it, or I should say way south, but 40 miles south to 40 miles north.
That doesn't seem like a wise decision.
Politics.
It is what there is. They have changed that, though. Since the time of that, I don't know if you gals notice it or not, but when we head down to Madison, the what do they call them? The stations, where you pull off the
travel centers.
Travel centers. They have rebuilt 2 new ones just north of Madison.
That's nice.
And they are huge. And northbound and southbound side, each one of them can host up to 50 to 70 semis inside of them now. But that's been since then.
Mm-hmm. All right. Number 10.
Number 10.
February 07. This was
Wait a minute. Wasn't the other one 0708?
Oh, that was for the Madison record of 101 between 07 and 08. That's for
Okay.
their record.
Okay.
All right.
So this one's in 07.
Yes.
Isn't that the
it
same
was
winter?
exactly a year away.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
All right, February in 07. This was a double whammy with two different storms hitting over the course of 72 hours near La Crosse. They saw as much as 15 inches for the first storm and 12 more for the second storm. The storm cut straight across the central part of the state, with Green
That
Bay
would be
and
us.
parts of Door County seeing the same 2 feet total that La Crosse did.
Yeah. Which means that in a diagonal fashion, they would come across here. That's super. That's not cool, but that's the way that things happen. Notice how many times that this is going to say Central Wisconsin. So that's us, and we were here for that, and that was one of our heavy snow years. Matter of fact, that winter started in November and did not end until April. That was when we got the last bit of snow off the ground, if I remember correctly. 2007.
Oh, is that the one where I was rolling those giant, snow
in 07?
piles? Yeah, I did that. Like, you could walk across the yard, pick up, almost a sheet of snow and start rolling it into a ball, and I literally rolled it around the yard and had this giant, almost hay bale-sized thing of snow that I had rolled up in the yard.
That would either be the 07 or 011. We also had a lot of snow in 13 and 14. So we had record here in central Wisconsin. We have record snowfalls. All right.
Number 9.
Number 9
is in January 1999.
We weren't here.
Some spots only received a few inches, but the totals of this blizzard reached up to 20 inches. Drifts were in excess of 4 to 8 feet for 2 8 feet, thanks to winds of 35 miles per hour inland and gusts near 60 miles on Lake Michigan, with temperatures down around 15 degrees. It was a dangerous and difficult situation then.
It was, and I remember that one, but not for being here. We lived in Port Clinton at the time, and we got 14 inches of snow over there.
Show off.
That was the biggest snowfall the 5 years that we lived in Port Clinton.
Hey, tell 'em
that
what
was
Port
the
Clinton
biggest
is.
snowfall that we have. Port Clinton sits right on Lake Erie, and when the storm came across Michigan, it held on to its moisture until it got back over Lake Erie, and we were right on Lake Erie. If I'm not mistaken, Buffalo got massively nailed. We got 14 inches. Buffalo got 36.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yes, it is.
All right. Number 8 is March 1997. The west central and northeast Wisconsin got hit with a large late winter storm that helped set a new state record for snowfall. Some places saw a foot of snow, but Wautoma got hit with more than 28 inches of snow that year.
Oh, that's
Hurley
close.
set a record for most snowfall in a season, collecting nearly 278 inches of snow over the course of winter. That winter of 1997.
Yeah, we weren't here. Boy, am I glad, because Wautoma is the county seat of Waushara County. That's the county that we live in, and we're only 15 miles from Wautoma. So you have to figure if this area didn't get 28 inches, it got 27. So
Number 7 is March 1976. This late winter storm was one of the worst natural disasters in state history. A huge ice storm snapped utility poles. The ice was up to 5 inches thick on wires and trees. This storm was a weird mix of spring thunderstorm and winter in Wisconsin, where the ice just kept building, and up to 60-mile-per-hour winds did not help. Some rural parts of the state ended up being without power for 10 days, and 21 counties were declared federal disaster zones.
Wow, how would you like to be considered a federal disaster zone?
over ice.
5 inches of ice in one spot.
Wait a minute. We're a federal disaster zone over ice.
Next thing you know, in California, instead of over ice, it's just over easy.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Because of the heat, you'd be cooking a lot of eggs out there.
Yeah.
Number 6
Number 6.
was November 1975. The northern
Okay, so these two happened November of 75.
I'm
The
seeing
other
a
one
pattern
was...
here.
March 1976. They come in a couple
So
of
one
years.
was at the
They come in
very
pairs.
beginning. One was at the very beginning of winter, and the other one was at the very end of winter. Boy, that was a horrible winter between
No
75 and 76.
Mm-hmm. So the northern half of the state was hit with a storm that brought 10 to 14 inches, which wasn't too abnormal for this part of the state, but it was accompanied by hurricane force winds along Lake Superior that created an absolute whiteout. This early storm is the one that caused the sinking of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Okay. So not only was it bad on Lake Superior, it was bad on land, too. Oh, man. Okay.
Number 5 is January 1947.
Okay, now we're getting back before my time.
Man, talk about some of the historical things that happened. I wasn't expecting to hear that.
This is said to be the longest lasting blizzard on record in southern Wisconsin. There were 18 to 27 inches of snow across the state. And strong northwesterly winds caused 10 to 15 foot drifts. Those are hard. Those are hard.
Not cool.
Cool.
Hey, Mom.
Cold.
God just brought us our own sledding hill.
Yeah, it's out the second story window of the house. 15 feet is as tall as most homes.
Okay.
Dang, man.
Yeah. So
2-story homes.
Yeah.
Baby, it's cold outside.
Yeah.
Well, we're
It is.
staying in. So number 4 is November 1943. Many of the biggest storms seem to only hit a portion of the state, but this coverage of this giant storm was statewide. The heavy snow was accompanied by ice, making travel treacherous. There were only 10 to 18 inches of snow, but combined with the ice, it was difficult to clean up. Roads blocked for several days. And showing the picture to Emily, can you see that?
Those are all the tops of cars.
Yeah.
So we've got we will take this picture and see if we can get that put up on our webpage. So if you wanna see what winter was like in Wisconsin in 1943, we'll definitely have that picture there for you at B.Andrews Radio Show. So go there and see it. All right, number 3.
November 1940. Known as the Armistice Day blizzard. Armistice, thank you. Day blizzard. This storm,
which means it happened on November the 11th.
This storm brought...
Because November the 11th is Armistice Day.
Thank you, Captain Obvious.
Okay. Well, but see, we don't call it Armistice Day now. We call it Veterans Day.
Oh, cool.
So that's why it's November the 11th.
Okay.
It's called Armistice because we signed the treaty to end World War I.
All right, on this day and age, we're having Dad tell the history of Armistice Day and turning into Veterans Day and farther back.
Karen, this is what we meant when we said feast on knowledge.
Exactly. Exactly. It just keeps
ahead.
coming.
Go ahead.
Are you sure?
Go ahead.
Are you sure?
Are you done history vomiting?
Well, no, not really. Not really.
Oh, it turned off.
How is Dad like a mama bird?
He vomits knowledge without us wanting it.
Here's your supper. November 11th.
Okay. This storm...
World War I went from 1914 to 1917. Just saying. This. What year is this in?
1940.
Okay,
Important dates.
Yes. So Armistice was... World War II hadn't happened yet.
Oh, interesting.
Actually, we're just
you were done.
Actually, we're just into World War II. Okay, 1943. The war started in 42.
Well,
so.
interesting enough, we're going to have to come back to November 1940 because we are running short on this segment's time.
Thanks to Mama Dad.
You mean Mama
Bird
Dad?
It was the least I could do. So, hey, people needed some refreshment time. And we'll be back to finish up with the top 3 biggest storms in Wisconsin for wintertime. Hey, if you want to be a part of the show, connect with us on Twitter at B.Andrews Band, all lowercase, B-A-N-D-R-E-W-S, B-A-N-D. Or IM us at Facebook by going to B.Andrews. That's first name B, B-E, last name Andrews, A-N-D-R-E-W-S.
Hey, Emily, want to see me pull an armadillo out of my shoe?
Not this trick again.
Nothing up my pant leg. Whoosh! Presto! Un gran gato negro en mis pantalones.
Welcome back to the B.Andrews Radio Show.
Welcome to the third segment of the B.Andrews Radio Show, where we are imparting knowledge.
It's called vomiting forth when you don't even want it.
Whatever. So we're going to turn it back over to Kay. She was enlightening us. You were lighting us up.
No,
with,
it's called blowing a blizzard towards you.
You were blizzarding information about some of the worst snowstorms, and we were in 1943, but this one's called the Armistice Day blizzard. Am I right?
Which would make it
on what day? What year?
40.
1940.
Haha, I was right.
So it was before World War II. And the other cool thing, and not only that, but did you know in 1914 that the last carrier pigeon died, making the breed extinct in the Cincinnati Zoo down in Cincinnati?
Wait,
Well,
what
dang
kind
it,
of
Cincinnati.
what kind of specific pigeon breed was it?
Carrier pigeon.
Seriously?
Yep, the last carrier pigeon died. They were hunted to extinction
Yeah,
here
that's sad.
in the United States. And she died, I forget her name. It was a female. And she died in the Cincinnati Zoo. They still have a monument to her, and I think she's still there stuffed. I think they took her and stuffed her and that kind of thing to preserve her. But the relationship to what you're talking about is that was 1914. That was the first year of the First World War happened. It started in 1914, and that's where Armistice Day comes from. And this particular on November the 11th in 1917 was when first Armistice Day was at November the 11th. Yeah, that's how you remember.
All right,
So
then.
anyway.
Okay, so this is number 3. It is November 1940, obviously on November 11th,
Yes, you won't forget it, will you?
is known as the Armistice Day blizzard. This storm brought heavy snow with winds up to 50 to 80 miles, causing
Ooh,
10 to 20 foot drifts.
that's code right there.
10 to 20 foot drifts. It shut down much of the Midwest from Minnesota down to Chicago in Milwaukee. The streetcars were stranded. Cars were stuck where they stood. There were
I'm pretty sure they were struck too.
Yeah,
well,
with
if you
lots
look
of
at
snow.
it, they're just on top of giant piles of snow.
Yeah. And another picture that we will try to reclaim and put up on our Facebook page. So you'll definitely want to go there and check out these pics.
And the second one, number 2,
Number 2.
is December 1904.
Oh, we are really getting before my time.
Oh, yeah. This storm...
I'm not that old.
Are you sure about that?
I'm not that old. Actually, my dad wasn't even born yet in 1904. Actually,
Yeah, he was born in like the 1940s, right?
1942. Actually, my grandmother is not born in 1904.
Well,
Yes.
this storm brought heavy snow and ice that still stands as a single largest 24-hour snowfall, with 26 inches falling in Neillsville in Clark County.
that's not far
Hey,
from here. How much snow in Neillsville?
26 inches within 24 hours. Hey, look at this picture. There's just a bunch of people standing on the 26 inches of snow.
That is
I'm pretty sure that's more than 26 inches.
It's all the
well, that's the drifting and so forth. So.
yeah. It's just massive.
So another picture yet to go up on our Facebook page. So you want to be sure to check that out.
All right, and number 1
Number 1.
is March 1881.
That predates the collection of weather history, I believe.
It says in the article, it says in the little blurb itself, the south and central parts of the state were hit with 2 to 4 feet of snow, winds with winds creating drifts up to 20 feet. Milwaukee reported 28.5 inches of snow in 48 hours. Between February 24th and March 20th, 1881, Milwaukee received 63.7 inches of snow. Although this blizzard happened to be before official record keeping began, it is thought to be the worst snowstorm ever to hit Madison over a 3-day period. 28.5 inches of snow fell in the city.
Wow. Yeah,
It's a really old picture too. I'm surprised they have one.
No, actually, I'm thinking.
Interesting fact. My turn to history, Vama. The first picture ever taken was of the picture of the camera they made themselves. They had to take a selfie.
Ah,
You mean
The first picture ever taken
there you
was
go.
a selfie. They used mirrors so that they could take a picture of the first camera that they built. It was a massive one too. So
Oh yeah.
Do you
yeah,
mean to
yeah,
tell
they were very
me
big.
that the picture, the first picture ever of the first camera ever was a selfie?
yes.
Yes.
Yes,
There you
it
go.
was. But at that point, it was an important thing to do because it was a historical event. And they're like, and we can document it, right? Yeah, we can document it. Just get some mirrors. We'll make a reflection and we'll take a picture of that.
And what was cool is that they documented the instrument that they used in order to make a photograph. That's what it was originally called. Really cool. Do you know the year of that?
Oh, I did.
Isn't it 1853?
No, I think that's a little late.
Um,
I'd have to look that up.
It's
to
true.
be. It
Because-
is mid. It is about mid 1800s.
Because
So-
I do know that during the Civil War that we have lots of Civil War pictures.
They
And,
do.
and the Civil War is 1860 to 1860. 1860 to 1864 or 64 to 68. It's a 4-year time period.
But
I'm trying. I can't remember.
but I'm trying to remember.
So it has to
I
predate
can't
that.
think of the guy's name, but there was a man who invented moving pictures before.
Oh, that's
Thomas-
Edison.
No, Edison didn't. There was someone who was able to capture, and there is video proof because the videos were dated and in his records before, like a year before Edison came up with it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I don't know the guy. I can't think of the guy's name. I'll show you the documentary. It's really interesting. I don't know the guy's name, but and it was a couple years before. It was a year or so before Edison did it. And
I have a
so-
question. So, since we can have such massive drifts, which can build up against the house,
She
which
effectively shut us up.
yes,
She
yes,
did.
I did.
And got us back on topic.
Yeah. Okay, not that vomiting knowledge isn't good sometimes.
I'm glad you put knowledge behind that.
Not that.
Not that
no,
vomiting is that good.
Not that vomiting isn't good. I mean, if your stomach's too full, you gotta get it out.
Anyway,
That is not the noise you make.
since snowdrifts can go so high and really, in a literal sense, snow you in because you
Yes.
can't open your door.
Yes.
Since you're stuck inside,
Yes.
what would you do if you were stuck in a snowstorm, snowed in?
Excellent question. Let me do the thing on your snowdrift first, though. In 1978, when I was a kid,
Oh.
in Central Illinois, it didn't come up this high. Because I've asked lots of times, did you guys experience the same blizzard in 78 that the rest of the country did, or at least we did, from Central Illinois across Cincinnati and Indianapolis and through there? And they go, no. I was like, okay. But there is a story that there was a truck driver that got stuck on I-70 or I-74. That's an interstate going east-west, okay? And he broke down. He didn't break down. He couldn't go any further. And the safest thing to do is he pulled off on the side of the road and went to go sit out the storm. And
Roll on highway.
yeah,
Roll on
yeah,
along.
yeah, there you go.
Alright.
Anyway, he's in Central Illinois, and the snow drifts just snowed his truck under. The way that he was found is that there were snowmobilers ramping the semi-trailer and found his smokestack sticking out and up over top of the
Snow.
He had been in that snowbank for 3 days. He had rolled down his window a little bit, and he was eating snow, and some stuff that he had in his cab, and that's how he was staying alive. But it was because of snowmobilers ramping the trailer. They were just whoom, whoom, because the trailer just had a little lip to it. And it's like, oh, okay, check this out. Now think of how high a semi-trailer is off the ground.
Ugh.
And the
And
only
they
thing
were
visible
driving, and the only thing visible was
the
the
smokestack.
because he would, to keep his batteries going, he would fire up. Well, the smokestack would get warm, and then that would start melting the snow around the smokestack and keep his smokestack cleared off. But the rest of the trailer and stuff was cold. So that's the story, and I'm sticking to it. But it's supposed to be a true story.
Awful. Getting snowed into a house is one thing, but getting snowed into your car?
Yeah, or a truck.
Man, I hope he became a Boy Scout after that, man. Always prepared. I got snacks all over the place.
Well, that's one of the things that we do, and people down south don't get this. But when they tell us about a snowstorm's coming, we make sure that in our vehicle that there's water. You make sure that you have an extra coat. You make sure that we have blankets and the thing, and we do pack snacks in case you get stuck in the car and that the snow gets so deep where you are that you can't get out.
Or you slide off the road into a ditch and you can't pull it out, and then you'll have to. If you
gotta
have
walk
more
or something.
and if you have more than one person, hope that you can at least keep the car warm for the people to stay in there, and that's why you have the blankets and extra coats.
Yep.
And then extra coats for the person who has to go out and walk.
And it's
to find
just how
help.
you travel in Wisconsin in the winter, that you keep that stuff in your car.
Hey, Dad. Is that a snowflake?
Hey, no.
Hey, John, that was just for you, buddy.
No. Hey, look, a star. Oh, hey, look, a snowflake.
Yeah.
White out.
Oh, wow. So also in 78, so I was a kid and we were caught in that. The Ohio River froze over. I had a cousin that was so bored during that time that he lived at Eastern Avenue in Cincinnati. Eastern Avenue is 4 blocks from the Ohio River, and the Ohio River froze over, so he went down to be one of the guys in history to have ever done it. He walked across the Ohio River as it was frozen. Danny, I don't know if you ever listened to my show. I still think that was one of the dumbest things to do.
And not Danny that was in the band.
No, this is Danny. This is my cousin, Danny Helton.
Okay, first of all, if we think it's dumb to do it down... Okay, if we think it's dumb to do it here, that we can actually have ice frozen over, that you can take it out there, which is still dumb to do, I'm pretty sure down where there's automatically warmer weather that you can get rid of some of the snow within a couple of days, it's dumb to do down there too. It's just dumb to do it all over.
Well, here's the other thing. The lakes don't move, so the water's easier to freeze.
Yeah,
the
he crossed the Ohio River.
And the water's moving underneath, which thaws your covering out. And he walked across it and walked all the way from Cincinnati, the 12 and a half miles to our house. I'll never forget, I hear this knocking on the door. We've got 14 inches of snow that had just fallen on the ground, and it is below zero, whiteout conditions. And I open up the door, and he had a marine jacket on, the hoodie all the way around his face, and he had the pull strings to where all he had was a circle around his nose and eyes to look out, and that's all that I can see is this guy staring at me with his eyes and his nose sticking out of the pull string circle around his hat. I'm like, who? And he goes, "It's really cold. Can I come inside?" And I had him in the house before I even knew who he was. I'm like,
Idiot! Whoever you are, get
in here.
Yeah.
And opened up the door, and when he took his hat, Danny, what are you doing? I'm just, and it had been the blizzard had set in for 3 days, and he was just.
I'm bored on my gourd.
Oh, he's cabin fever bad. We were snowed in at our house for that long, and so he said, "I come over to see my favorite uncle, Uncle Jack." And I'm like, "Yeah, well, he snowed in at work. He hasn't been home in 3 days."
Yeah.
Everybody was, when that blizzard hit,
they stayed put where they were.
when that blizzard hit, you just stayed where you were. My mom worked in a hospital at the time. She was at the hospital, and she stayed there. The hospital took care of their employees, and you just stayed there. Everybody
Hopefully
stayed
they'd
where
have
they
enough
were.
money around so that they could constantly eat the vending machines.
No, the hospital fed them. You had the hospital cafeteria. However, the hospital cafeteria only keeps so much food in stock, and they have to feed patients too. So, the hospital started running low on being able to get things in at the end of that time. So you pose your question. I've gone through this before. What do you do when you get snowed in?
You do what you do. live
As
life.
long as we still
but
got internet
inside.
in this modern age.
Yeah, I didn't have internet back then. You know what we did?
Games.
Movies.
I was going to say,
And not DVDs. We watched that one channel. If anybody remembers this, you had that one channel in your town that ran movies. And the old movies, old black and white movies, and that's all that you had. Other than that, you had to watch daytime soap operas. I wasn't going to do that. Wasn't going to happen.
Right.
But there's way more entertainment now. Gosh, I wish we had YouTube back then.
Oh, then Dad would have been getting into all sorts of YouTubers back then.
Oh, I would have.
Yeah, if YouTube existed back then.
If YouTube would have existed back then, I
You
would
know,
have
how much,
been
you know how much Good Mythical Morning you'd kill?
If any of them existed back
36 hours of good mythical morning.
Oh, you may make
No.
it through.
Did we just help them out? Did we
You
just
may
give
make
them?
it through 3 seasons.
Did we just give them a plug? A shameless plug?
then. No.
No, it wasn't shameless.
Oh, okay. If you get a chance, they're funny sometimes. Good mythical morning. podcast. Sometimes they're not. Anyway,
But
to
hey,
me,
you should
They're
you should
goobers.
listen to
To me.
us.
It's enjoyable.
to me. So if you do good mythical morning, why don't you do us a favor? Since we gave you a shout out on our podcast, why don't you give B.Andrews Radio Show a shout out on your podcast?
do
They
you
don't
really-
listen to us.
Do you really think Rhett and Link sit and look for little small-time podcasts to listen to?
Some people do, actually.
You know what?
I think they're too busy.
You know. We need to send them something and say, hey, we did this for you.
No.
Okay, moving right
No.
along.
No, because that just sounds like blackmail.
We didn't mean to do it. You did it.
Hey, wait a minute. Didn't they do it for Denny's?
No, they did it for Shoney's.
Or Shoney's? They did it for Shoney's?
It wasn't even on purpose either.
No, they were just making
Well,
jokes
trust
about
me.
Shoney's.
Trust me. When I rattled off their name, it was an accident that they came out, so I didn't do it on purpose
That
either.
It just came out.
It was an
just-
accident. They just came out.
Hey, Dad,
Yeah.
you should shove it back into the closet.
I don't know. Do you think what's the big tall one? Is that
Lonely
Link
in
or
there.
Rhett.
That's
Rhett.
Rhett.
They're both
You think-
big and tall.
Do you think Rhett would really fit in that closet right there?
No,
No.
I don't think Rhett would hardly fit in my house.
Whoa!
I got low ceilings, man.
Whoa!
Hey, it's
okay.
perfect for short people like
All right.
us.
All right. So where are we at on time on this segment?
We're done.
I'm getting the signal. So
We're 3 minutes over if you really want to know.
Yeah, we're 3 minutes over in this segment. So anyway, we're going to do one of those things that you do when you get snowed in. We're going to put on a pizza and watch lots of YouTube
Can we?
tonight.
Can we?
Sure.
Yay!
Why
I
not?
can finish my French silk pie.
Besides,
Is that a soap opera?
I hate
No, it goes into my gullet.
You have a
you're a bird. Okay.
Mine?
If you're a bird, you would be an emu. So anyway,
You need an emu.
that's what I said. Anyway, so this will be a good time for you to take a break and refill that cup of yours because we're coming back with some good news.
Well, it's time for a little good news. And let the sun shine through for me and you with some good news.
Today's good news story comes from Sunny Skies, a harrowing experience with a miraculous ending. January 22nd, 2019, mom saves daughter from sinking car after crashing into an icy pond. On the way to a birthday party with her 4-year-old daughter, Ashley Holland lost control of her vehicle and rolled down an embankment into an icy pond. She thought she was going to die. When something like that happens, it's like your parental instincts just kick in, and you do what you need to do to get your child to safety. The 24-year-old mother from Hansport, New York, told CBS Radio. As freezing water rushed in, Holland managed to free her daughter from the back seat, escape the vehicle, and swim to a nearby embankment. How they were even able to get out of that car was a miracle, said Captain Ryan Richard of the Brooklyn Volunteer Fire Department, who arrived at the scene shortly after the pair made it out of the water. To be able to swim to shore and get up and over that embankment is totally unheard of. According to Holland, the car initially landed on its roof and both passenger side windows smashed on impact, and the water started pouring in. Holland unbuckled herself and crawled out a window into the water. She tried to open her daughter's door from the outside, but it wasn't budging. For a moment, Holland thought she wouldn't be able to save Macy. The car was sinking too fast. Her hands were going numb, but she refused to give in. She climbed over the car and went back in through the window and worked with her daughter to free her from the car seat. When they got to the embankment, Holland didn't think she would make it up the hill, so she told her daughter to get help. I just told her to run. You need to run and go find someone. Macy flagged down a passing car for help as Holland managed to bring herself to the top of the embankment. The woman in the car wrapped them both in a jacket and called 911 while they warmed up in her vehicle. Holland added that she is very fortunate she decided not to take her 14-month-old to the party, or things would have been much, much worse.
And how old was Macy, does it say?
She was 4.
Okay. Wow, and what a brave little girl, because after that kind of a situation, why being cold, traumatic, the little girl didn't freeze up either. Her mother told her to run,
and she
get
was
help,
able
and
to do it.
She had her mind at present. So kudos to both of them. Kudos to both of them, and thank God that both of them are safe. And the whole thing, I think, and why you chose that story was just the amazement that a mom's instinct kicked in, how important it was to stay with it to save her child. We've heard lots of situations, and I'm not casting judgment on people, but the fear of a trauma of a certain situation, and kids are involved, and they end up leaving their children in flight for their own selves.
Or some who just through the stress of life give in or give up and walk away.
But in this case, Macy's mom said, no, I'm not leaving here without my daughter. And she fought through everything, cold water, water rushing in, trauma, kept her wits about her.
Couldn't even get the door open, crawled back in through the window.
Yeah, which means that part is probably in water by then. And the car was upside down on its hood. Oh, man.
So she had to go underwater to do that.
Probably. Wow. Just wow. You realize that's Navy SEAL and Coast Guard kind of training. And this is just a mom who will not give up on her kid. That's kudos to them, and thank you for running that story. Hey, listen, we've talked a lot about the cold weather and the snow, and I'm looking outside, and the flakes are just starting to fall. So that's pretty cool. But, ladies and gentlemen, if there's somebody around you that needs some help, maybe you're in central Wisconsin or some other place that gets a lot of snowfall.
Or none at all.
Or none at all, but somebody needs some help because they're elderly and they can't do it. Take some time and take care of those around you. And that's going to be our good news segment for today. We want to thank you for listening to the show. Quick shout out again to those who matter to us. Elyria, Ohio, thank you for listening. And Julie, thank you for listening to our show. Share it with somebody. iHeartRadio, B.Andrews Radio Show, all one word. YouTube, B.Andrews Radio Show, and catch us on Facebook. Check out the pictures from the snowfalls, and we're going to have a little pizza and some hot chocolate and check out a few movies. So you do what you're going to do. We're going to do what we're going to do. Be the best that you can possibly be for your faith and for the people around you. God bless. We'll catch you all next time.